My name is Aisha and I'm 67 years old. Let me tell you the story of my life after my husband passed away and I moved into my son's house. In some cultures like India, China, and Saudi Arabia, it's common for parents to live with their children, whether they're sick or widowed. It's a tradition that I find beautiful. However, in America, things are different. You see, my son Ahmed was married to a woman named Natalia, and he thought that she was amazing, but I thought differently. I watched her closely, and I was sure she was only interested in my son's money. It really upset me. I tried to warn Ahmed, but I'm sure you know love can blind people. Whenever I told him, Mama knows best, he ignored me and insisted that Natalia loved him and their relationship is genuine. I have to admit that my son is stubborn like me and he won't believe the truth until he experiences it himself. So I stopped telling him that Natalia is bad news. It hurt me to see him being deceived so openly, but sometimes people have to hit rock bottom to understand the reality of their situation. My late husband was a wealthy businessman and we owned several properties, including the house Ahmed now lives in. It was a birthday gift to him when he turned 25. Technically, it's a family house because all three of our names are on the deed, but Ahmed seemed to have forgotten that. I'm sure Natalia was under the impression that the house was strictly Ahmed's, and so she got the gall to treat me so poorly. Her presence had only made things worse, as I had to endure her rudeness and witness my son's inability to handle her. It was a difficult situation for me. I wanted to protect Ahmed from being taken advantage of, but I also know that he needed to learn on his own, so I watched silently, hoping that one day he will see Natalia's true intentions. Let me tell you, it was not easy living under the same roof with someone you didn't particularly care for. Natalia made no effort to hide her disdain for me. She often questioned my presence in the house as if I was an intruder in my own son's home. The audacity! I kept my composure, mostly, but that resolve began to dissolve soon. I had gotten used to her rudeness, but every once in a while she would make things even harder for me. It felt like she enjoyed ruining my laundry on purpose, pretending not to hear me when I needed her assistance, and even making intentionally bad food for me when Ahmed wasn't there. Now, let me make it clear that I don't let people walk all over me. I confronted Natalia about her actions, hoping to make her understand, but as usual, she acted innocent. Our conversation went something like this. Natalie, we need to talk. I've noticed your disrespectful behavior towards me. It's time we address this issue. Oh, Aisha, what do you mean? I have no idea what you're talking about. I've always treated you with the utmost respect. Don't play games with me, Natalia. I see right through your facade. Your actions speak louder than words. I demand an explanation. What is your problem with me? You're just being overly sensitive, Aisha. I'm sorry if you feel that way, but I assure you I have no ill intentions. Enough is enough, Natalia. I won't tolerate your BS any longer. You will respect me and our home, or there will be consequences. Our home? I'm sure you mean your son's home. This isn't your home, Aisha. You need to get that through your head. Without dignifying her disrespectful behavior, with a response, I immediately went to Ahmed to talk about the situation. I have to admit I was quite upset, and my voice may have been loud. Ahmed tried to calm me down, but I wasn't ready to listen. I wanted Natalia to leave the house. Mama, please, let's talk calmly. There's no need to get so worked up. Worked up, Ahmed? Your wife is driving me crazy. I can't live like this anymore. She ruins my belongings, ignores my requests, and disrespects me at every turn. How can you let your mother be treated like this? You have to divorce that witch. Mother, you and I both know divorce is not an option for us. I don't want to bring shame to our family. We can work things out, I promise. Work things out? Ahmed, sometimes it's better to cut ties with the leech rather than let it drain the life out of you. Our happiness and well-being should be a priority. Tension filled the room, making the atmosphere heavy. Ahmed struggled to find the right words, torn between his love for Natalia and his loyalty for our family. I could see the conflict in his eyes, but I knew deep down that he cherished our mother-son bond. Despite my frustration, I took a moment to compose myself. I realized that pushing Ahmed further could strain our relationship even more. I needed to find another approach to handle this situation, to protect my son without causing irreparable damage. The following day, Ahmed called both Natalia and me to discuss in the living room. He expressed his concern about the growing hostility between us and emphasized that the constant arguing needed to stop. Natalia, in her usual dramatic manner, started crying and claimed that living with me had been incredibly challenging because she felt unappreciated. I couldn't help but roll my eyes at her fake tears. I knew she was trying to manipulate Ahmed and portray herself as the victim, so I spoke up, unafraid to express my thoughts. "Stop with the theatrics, Natalia. Your tears won't fool me. You're crying to pull at Ahmed's heartstrings, but I see right through your act." Ahmed, frustrated by the tension, pleaded with me to stop being unkind to Natalia. However, I stood my ground, firmly stating that Natalia was nothing but a manipulative person after his wealth and that he should seriously consider ending his marriage. Seeing an opportunity, Natalia started crying even harder, which caused Ahmed to raise his voice at me for the first time. He threatened to make me leave if I couldn't behave respectfully. My heart sank as his words stung me deeply. I couldn't believe how much Natalia had influenced him. Feeling a mix of anger and sadness, I impulsively stood up and slapped Ahmed across the face. The room fell silent as tears filled my eyes. "Wow, Natalia has truly changed you, hasn't she? You never would have spoken to me like this if she wasn't here. I hope you're happy with yourself." Overwhelmed, I retreated to my room, frantically searching for the important documents left behind by my late husband. I needed to find the title deed of the house, which clearly stated that the house belonged to me, Ahmed, and his father, as I mentioned earlier. There was also a clause stating that if Ahmed acted rudely or disrespectfully, he would lose ownership of the house. You see, Ahmed used to be a troublesome and spoiled child. Both his father and I wanted to teach him about responsibility, so we decided to give him a house that he had to take care of. We added the clause about disrespect because we anticipated that Ahmed might lose his privileges within a year. We hoped for the best but prepared for the worst, which is why that clause was included. To our surprise, Ahmed had been responsible and maintained ownership of the house since his 25th birthday. However, that clause still held weight, and now I had to consider whether it was time to remind Ahmed of his responsibilities and the consequences of his actions. As I searched through the papers, my heart raced. Revealing this clause would undoubtedly have serious repercussions on our relationship, but I couldn't stand idly by while Natalia manipulated and controlled my son. I needed to protect him, even if it meant taking drastic measures. After hours of searching, I finally found the papers confirming the validity of the clause in the title deed. It didn't specify a time limit, which meant it remained in effect. Holding on to this information, I decided to wait for the right moment to disclose it, strategically planning my next steps. Meanwhile, I came up with another plan to expose Natalia's true nature to my son. Inspired by the true crime shows I had been watching, I decided to record my conversations with Natalia. I purchased a small recorder specifically for such moments, ensuring that I had evidence to support my claims. Mama always fights smart, my friends. A week passed and the house was filled with uncomfortable silence and tension. The atmosphere was suffocating and it felt like everyone was tiptoeing around. But I knew Natalia's downfall was imminent. I just needed the perfect opportunity to present itself. Then, one day, I sensed that something was off, and sure enough, Natalia was the cause. Unexpectedly, she entered my room, radiating an unsettling energy that my intuition couldn't ignore. My heart raced with anticipation, and discreetly, I pressed the record button on my hidden device. I was ready to capture her true intentions. Natalia approached me with false confidence and said, "I think it's time for you to go." I maintained my composure, hiding my excitement behind a calm expression. Deep down, I knew this was the moment I had been waiting for. With the recorder capturing every word, I responded with a smile, careful to choose my words wisely. "Oh, Natalia, dear, what makes you say that?" "Face it, old lady, you're ruining my plan." "What plan?" "I plan to take all of your son's money." "Duh." "Ah, so I was right when I said you were a gold digger." "Some call it a gold digger. Others call it being opportunistic. Tomato, tomato." "Wow. So these are your true colors, huh? Fascinating." "You know, you never respected me." "Why would I? I could see right through you the moment you walked into my son's life." "I guess the game recognizes the game, huh?" "Oh, please, you think you and I are the same?" "But of course. Why else would you marry such a wealthy man?" "Because I loved him, Natalia. That's something you know nothing about, and you dare to come here and talk like a crazy person? Why are you acting as if I won't expose you to my son?" "Because I have something important to tell you, Aisha. You thought I was joking when I said it was time for you to go? Little do you know." "Spit it out, Natalia. I'm getting sick of your games." "Pack your bags. I've convinced my dear old doting hubby to put you in an old age home." Natalia began to laugh, somewhat manically too. "I told you she was a witch. I let her enjoy her moment of glory because I knew that in a few seconds it would all come crashing down." Noticing my lack of response, she asked, "Why aren't you weeping? Did you hear me, you senile hag? You're going to be locked up in a retirement home until you join your husband." "I heard you, sweetie. Don't worry." "Don't you want to know how I got Ahmed to agree?" "Well, if you must tell me." "After your little scene last week, I started convincing Ahmed that you were slowly losing your mind." "What, because I slapped him?" "Yeah, well, he seems to disagree after I told him that the behavior was not normal and that you were slowly becoming psychotic due to old age." "And he believed you?" "I can be pretty convincing when I want to be. I told him that you also lost your mind when you lost your husband, and that's why you've been mean to me." "So you see, Aisha, you're no longer going to be living here. Once you're gone, it will be easy for me to sink my claws deeper and deeper into your son. By the time I'm done with him, you all will have nothing." Again, she finished her statements as if she had truly won. But little did she know. Nice try." "What do you mean, nice try? I've already won." "I gotta say, if I didn't hate you so much, I might have commended your antics." "Why are you acting like that? You should be shaking right now." "What? You thought that I was going to cry? You think that I'm pusillanimous? Like you?" I don't even know what that means." "Of course you don't. Girls like you don't even bother trying to expand your knowledge. You just rely on being a leech to get by, which is disgusting and pathetic." "How dare you? I'm going to tell Ahmed that you hit me, and then you'll be kicked out for sure." "Oh, Natalia, you still don't get it." I approached her and I slapped her. "Go ahead, tell him. At least you'll be telling the truth this time." You slapped me. I can get you arrested." "I dare you to try, especially after what I have to reveal to you, because when I'm done, you'll regret all the things you've said here." I revealed everything to Natalia, telling her that this entire conversation was being recorded for the sole purpose of exposing the truth. I also told her that she had no right to even attempt to kick me out of the house, considering that I was part owner. "Pack your and your hubby's bags, Natalia, because you're no longer welcome in my house." To my surprise, she fainted in shock. I suppose hearing her plans unravel before her eyes, coupled with the impact of our conversation, was too overwhelming for her. As I gazed at Natalia lying unconscious on the floor, a complex mix of satisfaction and disappointment washed over me. I felt satisfied because I finally had the evidence necessary to expose her true nature, but at the same time, I was deeply disappointed that my son had fallen prey to her manipulations. Ahmed rushed into the room, drawn by the loud thud, his face filled with panic as he tried to revive his wife. Despite the chaos, I remained composed. "Mama, what did you do?" "Ahmed, I know you're upset, but please. You're crazy. Aisha was right about you. I should have put you in a home sooner. You're losing your mind." "Oh, stop that, will you? Put her in the recovery position and come to me. She'll be fine. I already called the ambulance." Ahmed reluctantly stopped panicking and came over to me. "There's something you need to see and hear." Ahmed, still in a state of shock, looked at me with a mix of confusion and concern. "What are you talking about, Mama? We need to get Natalia to the hospital. We can't just leave her here." Just as Natalia regained consciousness, confusion and fear crossed her face as she struggled to grasp what was happening. Before she could utter a word, I pressed the play button on the recording device, allowing the incriminating conversation to fill the room. Natalia's lies, schemes, and true intentions were exposed for Ahmed to hear. As the recording played, shock transformed into anger on Ahmed's face. The weight of Natalia's deception sank in, and he directed his gaze at her, a mixture of disappointment and fury evident across his face. "How could you do this, Natalia? All the lies, the manipulation. I trusted you, and you played me?" Natalia, fully aware of the evidence stacked against her, struggled to come up with a believable response. Her attempts to make excuses faltered in the face of the undeniable truth. Ahmed's voice trembled with a mixture of concern for Natalia and his growing anger as he shouted at her. I watched him, feeling a combination of sympathy and determination in my heart. "Ahmed, my son, I'm sorry it all had to come to this." The paramedics arrived and transported Natalia away despite her hurling insults at me and desperately pleading for Ahmed to take her back, a counterintuitive reaction, I must admit. I understood that the journey ahead would be difficult for Ahmed. However, I firmly believed that he needed to learn these lessons on his own, just as I had hoped. The house, a symbol of responsibility, would remain in our possession, patiently awaiting Ahmed's personal growth and maturity. Can I say it? Say what? "I told you so." Yeah, I guess you can. I think I'll hold on to it for now. I can see you're hurting. I loved her, Ma. I know, baby, I know. I guess you were right. You really do know best. At that moment, I felt a huge sense of relief and hope. The truth had come out, and though we had some healing to do, I knew we would come out of it stronger. I had faith that my son would understand the importance of making wise choices and treating others with love and respect. I also made up my mind to remove my name and his father's name from the title deed. Ahmed had proven himself to be a responsible and honorable son, despite all the challenges we faced. Natalia, after her hospital visit, was physically fine. The doctor said her fainting was due to shock and stress, but despite that, she persisted in trying to win back Ahmed by showing up at the house whenever she pleased. Luckily, I was there to protect Ahmed from her manipulations. I made sure she never set foot in the house again. I knew Ahmed was vulnerable, and I didn't want him to fall for her tricks and let her back into his life. I was determined to shield him from any further heartbreak. Amidst all the chaos, I decided it was time to address the house ownership issue. I reminded Ahmed about the clause in the original title deed that required him to be respectful to keep ownership. But I also wanted to give him a fresh start, a symbolic gesture of leaving the past behind. So I handed Ahmed a new title deed with only his name on it. I told him he deserved it after going through so much pain and turmoil. Tears filled Ahmed's eyes as he realized the significance of this gesture, recognizing his growth and strength. We hugged each other, and at that moment, all the bitterness and tension melted away. Ahmed looked at me with a slight smile and said, "You still haven't apologized for slapping me." I chuckled, realizing that our bond had weathered the storm. Do you want me to put my name back on the title deed? We shared a heartfelt laugh. In the end, things worked out great for Ahmed and me. Our bond became even stronger, and he learned some valuable lessons about love, trust, and being smart about who to trust. As for Natalia, she kept trying to win Ahmed back, but he stayed strong in his decision to move on without her. Life went on, and Ahmed thrived, building a new life full of happiness and success. Natalia, well, she had to face the consequences of her choices and slowly became a distant memory. And as for me, I stood by my son's side, proud of the amazing man he had become. We were grateful for our strength and the love that carried us through it all.